Thank you all for coming. I'm Rob Manfredi, the owner of Bamboo Solutions. We're going to break this webinar into three quick sections. One is a quick overview of the product and Bamboo so that we get our footings on what we're about to see. We'll take a tour of the website to show you how you can start a free trial of Alerts Plus. And then we'll actually get into the product and give you a quick walkthrough of how to create alerts and how they run and the like. So let's get started here. Okay, so Bamboo is a leading provider of software for Microsoft 365 and SharePoint Online. We're also a services provider. We're a Microsoft Gold partner. We've got over 2,000 customers on active support, as well as over 8,000 customers that have tried our products. They range from very large to very small, and the like. We are about 40 folks, been developing products for SharePoint over the past 10 years. Bamboo has actually been around a lot longer than that, but we bought them in 2016, where they had just on-prem products, and now we have created online versions of those products, but we also support and maintain all of the on-prem products as well for both SharePoint 2016, 2019, and 2022. The SharePoint Online products, which we're focusing on today, the Alerts Plus, are SPFX solutions. They are not add-ins, which means support for them will continue into the future. Microsoft is discontinuing support for add-ins, but those are a completely different beast than what we develop. The products are either a perpetual license maintenance model, or in the case of Alerts Plus, we do have a subscription which allows you to utilize our Azure environment for creating the alerts. And we'll get into the architecture of Alerts Plus. Alerts Plus is a pretty amazing project. It was one of our top sellers for on-prem. And it has gotten some good uptick in the SharePoint Online side, but we think that just getting more messaging out about what it does and how it should be used will help increase the awareness of what are the benefits of Alerts Plus. So we did mention that this is a product that can be purchased as a perpetual license maintenance for your environment, which would utilize your SharePoint Online environment and your Azure environment. Those two components work together. Or in this case, there is a yearly single price that you could pay, which would then utilize our Azure environment. And in that case, you can get the product up and running in a matter of hours. All the trials actually utilize our Azure environment. But then, of course, when you're ready to purchase, we can move those Azure services into your Azure environment and be completely self-contained in there. We do have some small business pricing as well. And the like, as well as if you are a very large customer. This doesn't really pertain to Alerts Plus, but for our smaller ones, we do have additional support fees. But for Alerts Plus, that does not is not part of the cost. So the like, all right, bunch of services that we offer, but let's get into Alerts Plus and how it works. So the goal of Alerts Plus is to allow administrators to create custom alerts. That is our emails that are looking at either lists or document libraries across your sites. And you can then create emails based on an item is created, an item is changed, or simply that an item exists, right? So those are business rules. We'll get to that in a second. So these alerts are emails that contain tokens and items from those lists or document or metadata from those document libraries. So the emails are meaningful with links back to those items in those emails. On items that exist, you can apply or create business rules, right? So this is logic that can trigger an alert, such as, let's say, a task that is due next week but has not been started, right? So nothing's changed in this task. A due date is approaching. Alerts Plus will run through all the items in the list, looking for items that meet that business rule, and then generate the alert and send it out. Those alerts can be run as soon as possible. They can be run on a scheduled basis. And then follow-on alerts can be run a set number of days after the alert has been triggered once, so that a user isn't getting an alert every 15 minutes that an item is due, but maybe the once a day kind of thing and the like. So Real easy to create. And again, we talked about the Azure services, which does the actual scanning of the document libraries and alerts. It can be run from our cloud using the private secret key to access your SharePoint Online, or it can run in your Azure environment, and then those talk together in the same way, but not from the Bamboo servers. If you are going to run it in your Azure environment, we do include training as well as installation services to get that Azure service up and running with your team so that you don't have to learn all that kind of stuff. It's all included in the price. So really, it's all about reminders, right? So some things we've seen out there are project health. So again, we talked about tasks that are assigned to users but not completed. You want to start escalating the alerting on that. Managing risks, right? So set threshold alerts when values in a list reach a critical level or a pricing level, right? So we keep scanning lists, and if we see a price request or a risk level that gets past a threshold, let's send out alerts to the task owners or project owners out there. You control the alerts and can ensure that information is delivered on time. So unlike the alert me function, right, which is user driven, this is meant to be alerts that you set up in there, and you can set these alerts up very quickly and easily. So again, tasks, data that's ready to be processed, documents that have been updated or overdue. We see a lot of student records out there and class records that are managed in lists or document libraries to let faculty, students, or the likes know. So if you're managing a lot of data or have a lot of documents in your SharePoint Online site, this alert function just becomes critical to maintaining it, right? So why not use Power Automate to create these lists? Well, there are request limits for Power Automate on a daily basis. So as you're looping through a list, each time you loop through, it does add to your daily limit. So for just simple reminders or reminders that need to run through a very large list, Power Automate just may have a little too much overhead and also could increase in cost. Quickly creating alerts is a lot faster and easier in Alerts Plus versus using Power Automate, and it can scale across the organization. So if you've got hundreds of alerts that run across hundreds of lists and libraries, you know, Power Automate can run out of steam quickly, especially if you've got a list with 30,000 items in it and the like. So it really is the right tool for those larger organizations that want to create meaningful alerts without using up your Power Automate licenses, which should be used for other items. So your standard license only allows 6,000 actions, premium license 40,000 actions. This is all the Power Automate limitations. Those reset every 24 hours. But if you're going to do automated or scheduled flows, the request limit is tied to the primary owner's license in there. So again, you can run out of cycles if you're just looking to send out alerts out there. So our product becomes very useful in those situations. The architecture of the way Power the Alerts Plus works is there is a web part that exists in SharePoint Online that allows you to create the alerts, right? And manage those alerts and see when they were last run. Those alerts that you create are then sent into a table within Azure. And then those Azure tables will run those alerts against SharePoint. So you can see there's sort of a storage queue here. When the trigger is met, we then formulate an email in memory and then send that out to the users through Exchange. So it really is a combination of the management console being in SharePoint to create the alerts. Those alerts then get queued up in Azure, and then Azure connects to SharePoint to run the business rules and the alerts that we'll see in there. All right, so pretty straightforward. And again, that Azure service can run in ours very easily, or those Azure services can run in your Azure environment to keep it completely self-contained within your M365 environment. All right, so that's the product. Let's go ahead and just take a look at how you can get a trial. So within our website, under products, The blue products are the SharePoint Online products. The green products are the SharePoint On-Prem products. There is Alerts Plus for On-Prem that is available for you. That runs as a completely SharePoint product using timer jobs to run the alerting function. That timer job does not exist in SharePoint Online, so we have to use Azure Services. Now, if you come over here to view more, you can see a list of our 25 products for SharePoint Online, all very high value, low cost solutions, and then an Alerts Plus, which is the top one here. You can get the user guides, pricing, and also if you click this try buy button, you can grab a trial, and that trial does not require any credit card. It will automatically connect to our Azure service, so you can install it and begin creating alerts, and those will run in our Azure environment at no charge for 30 days. And then, of course, you can purchase it to run in your environment as well once you're ready to license it. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the way Alerts Plus works. So I have added Alerts Plus to our app catalog, and I've enabled it on this page. This is the console. And then on this page, I also have the list that I'm going to be alerting against, just so you can see it's just a standard list or document library in here. So we can see we've got departments, assigned tos, due dates, start dates, tasks, and whether those tasks have been started or not started. So I've created 3 alerts. This in progress finance tasks, a new task has been added, and a task that's due this week. All right, so you can just quickly add more alerts, but we're going to take a look at one of these alerts and see how it's created. Once you've created the alert, you can see quickly in the console the list that alert is tied to, the location of that list, who created it. You can have alerts that are enabled or disabled. So if you're doing testing or you don't want that enabled, you can just turn it off without having to delete the alert. And then we can see when it was last run. They run pretty much every 15 minutes if you've got it on an ASAP or on a schedule basis. So let's go ahead and take a look at this finance alert. So when creating an alert, you can give it a meaningful name. Here's my enable, disabled. And then you can set when the alert is going to be run in which time zone, right? So that becomes important in timing. And essentially, there's 2 things you do. You set up the alert itself, and then you configure the alert email over here. So in terms of the event, you give us the URL of the list or library that you want to alert against. You hit load, and it will give you the list of lists. In this case, there is only, I think, 1 list. No, there's a whole bunch of lists. So in this case, I'm going to choose the Alerts Plus demo, which is that list we were just looking at. And then on the alert timing, I can set it as soon as possible, which will run every 15 minutes, or daily, which would then allow you to set up a time, right, or an hour that you want that alert to run. So if you want them running at night or during the day or what have you, you can do that as well. So we're going to run this as soon as possible, so I get some alerts. And then you can define what triggers the alert, right? So in this case, we've got an item is created, an item is changed, an item is created or modified, which is both of those cases, or simply that an item exists, right? So these are pretty self-explanatory. But when you click an item exists, you can choose to trigger it on all items, items within a list view, or some items. Now, if an item exists, you definitely want to do some items, otherwise you're going to send out alerts on every item out there. But this follow-up is nice too, meaning that once an alert is triggered, you can wait X number of days or weeks to send in the next alert, right? So imagine we've got a task that's due next week. It's not started or it's still not completed. We send out an alert, right? In order to re-trigger that same alert, you would want to wait a day or a couple hours so that the user isn't getting the alert every 15 minutes, right? Make sense? So once you've got your some items selected, this little filter thing pops up, which actually helps you build the camel query for doing it. So in this case, we want the status field equals in progress and the department equals finance. So in this case, what we're trying to do is give an alert for all finance tasks that are in progress. So that's the goal of this alert. So if this filter is met as it cycles through all of those list items, we're going to send out an email. You can set the from either to a field or token or from a specific person. The email will go to the field that is assigned to. So you got all your fields from the lists in here. You've got the subject. And then in the email, you can, of course, have tokens. So this is a reminder, a daily reminder that there is an in-progress task in the finance department. The task name, who it's assigned to, the due date, and then actually the list URL that list does. So we actually have some nice tokens in here of the item URL, the site URL, the list URL, and the list names, right? So these are things outside of the columns in your list that you can include as tokens in your email. Now, once that's done, you simply click finish. And if that's enabled, that is immediately uploaded to the Azure environment. And then every 15 minutes, that Azure will run this item and send out the alerts as it loops through all of the items in that list. Now, here's another alert. This is tasks that are due this week. It's enabled. Again, what we're going to look is that same list, the Alerts Plus demo list. We're going to run this as soon as possible when an item exists. And in this case, we're going to look for any items where the due date is in this week and the status does not equal completed, right? So it's either in progress or not started. We're going to generate an email. And again, it's going to come from support. It's going to go to the task assigned to, right, person. And then it's going to say, hey, this is a friendly reminder that the following task is coming due this week and it is not finished. And then we've actually got that list URL that can go to it. So pretty straightforward, very nice, meaningful emails that allow you to very quickly create these alerts and send out the tasks as they're sent out, right? And the like. So we can see this one was actually run at 12:15 on tasks that are due this week. So if I look out here, I can see which tasks are due this week. I don't know if any are due this week, 9:25. Well, this one is due this week and it's in progress. So that will generate an email that should go out and be sent to me. Actually, and here it is. Oops, hold on, let me open it up. So this is an email that came out to me because I'm the task owner. There's a daily reminder that there's an in-progress task in finance task. Here's the URL, and here it is. Now, I won't get this again if I set the reminder to not go out, at least for another day. So since I got it, I'm going to go ahead and update that. Follow up in one day. So every day I'll get a reminder that that task is not completed until it is marked as complete. And then that alert won't be triggered in there. So we'll go ahead and finish that so that I don't get an email every 15 minutes from BJ saying that I've got to work on that. So perfect. So that is exactly how Alerts Plus works. Any questions? That's the full demo. It's pretty straightforward, but it's doing something very complex and the like. So I'm happy to answer any questions or show you anything more that is in there. Awesome. Well, thank you all for coming, and let us know if you want to have a trial of Alerts Plus. Yay.